Welcome back to Sunrise. Mr. Nyaitok, I was asking a question about the possibility of cutting down on expenditure in the state. I mean, based on how much is generated internally. Do you think the state will be willing to reduce so that they use their federal allocation as it is now for capital projects and then use their internal generated revenue for themselves, so taking care of the executive office and all the other things that need to be taken care of in terms of recurrent?
Yes. There are two things I would like to say as quickly as possible. One is that a cat is designed, is made to meow, and a dog is made to bark. When you want to have a pet in your house, you have to ask yourself, what do I want, a cat or a dog? You can't blame a cat for meowing and not being loud. And you can't blame a dog for barking and not being silent. Back home, who runs the system? Politicians, we call them. What is the primary interest of the politician today? How are they engaged? Because before you talk in terms of how the man in the office operates, you must ask yourself, who is the man in the office? Are you having a dog and expecting it to be very, subtle and be meowing? Or are you having a cat and you want it to be barking? Who is the man on the seat? It's very important. Secondly, the loud noise at the gate is never as effective as the whisper in the bedroom. Where are we? Are we at the gate making the loud noise, or are we in the bedroom whispering into the ears of the king? We must look at these fundamentals very clearly. We are sitting, 2019 is approaching. The politicians are carving out their agenda. They are strategizing. They are distracting us the way they have done before. I'll give you a very simple example. In 2015, the politicians had an amazing game plan. They said, look, this must go bad, this must go wrong, this must go wrong, and on account of that, we must ask for change. And they made things go wrong. They said, we must change. And I sat down, a man who's gone to the university, and spoke to my classmate. I said, this change, how are we going? I said, I don't, you know what he told me? My classmate told me, I don't care. Even if he's a dog, put him there, Jonathan must leave. And I went and I bled inside me. I said, this country, I agree, Jonathan must leave, for goodness sake. Why should a dog, why should a goat, why should anybody? Let's look for a CEO for our country. I don't care whether it's Jonathan, let's get an effective CEO for our country. Today we are sitting down here. We are having these interesting engagements and narratives. 2019 is around the corner. Everybody's talking restructuring. I'm asking yourself one question. Goodness me, who is going to be our next president? The current? No problem. Another person? No problem. What do we want? Number one, we want a chief executive. Let me leave the presidency, go to the states. We want a chief executive who is going to sit down and say, I am not going to go on this program of sharing money without developing my state, number one. Number two, I am going to go into internally generated revenue such that when I bring out a budget, which, for instance, for us today is one of the most secret documents on the face of the earth. Because when I bring out a budget, engage the people, we start on a trajectory that we're able to look at. Say, if I take my state, for instance, Akwa Ibom, we want to say Akwa Ibom in 10 years, Akwa Ibom in 20 years, Akwa Ibom in 30 years. I want to engage all the people. I want to come up with a roadmap, get the buy-in of the people. Like my sister said concerning Lagos State, from 1999, they've been going on a trajectory. I don't know how many states can go on that same trajectory. Because I agree with my brother. I want to defer to everything that has been said. My brother said that Lagos had a lot of opportunities. Nigeria had a lot of opportunities. Lagos could have squandered the opportunities. But you can see there has been a line of thinking, a pattern of thought that has been peculiar to Lagos State with respect to getting better and better by the day. How many states can we attribute this mindset to? So coming back, I think that the first thing that let me even blow your theology a little bit, or your philosophy a little bit. I want to put it to Nigerians that politicians constitute less than 30% of the voting population. And yet, we, the 70% of the voting population, panter to the game plans of the politicians. I think the time has come when Nigerians, I don't want to talk about politicians, they are doing their own thing. If they are dogs, they are barking. If they are cats, they are meowing. If we are not satisfied with let's redefine the game. I want Nigerians to come to sit down and say, this country belongs to us. It is my personal responsibility to make sure that things are right. How can we evolve a process of, one, evolving a CEO at the federal and at the state levels, and number two, articulating an agenda such that the political class key into the agenda that we have as Nigerians come up. You know, we come up here every day and we make a lot of these fantastic stories, but we seem to be noisemakers at the gate. And we are allowing politicians with their silent move, who are more strategic, to be whispering to the kings. Let us as Nigerians decide today. Forget about all this war, fight. Let me end because I don't know how much time I have. If you talk in terms of, you know, resource control, federalism, federating unit, I agree with all these things. But at the bottom line must be fairness, justice. You see, if you get to a school, you realize that so long as you talk of, you know, intellectual capability, you forget that there is a mercy in that class who does not understand mathematics, physics, chemistry, but he has a skill. And his skill is putting him on top of the world. Every state of this federation, I put it to you, has skills that will make them to brighten up and blossom. So when we say maybe they should merge, it is a narrative. I will not go that way because every state as it stands today has the capacity. Let all the indigenes of that state start to have what we have at the national, what we call Nigeria First, go to have Delta First. Let all the intellectuals in Delta State, let all the intellectuals in Akwa Ibom State come together. They don't need government to bring them together. They just need to wake up, to sit up, to put their money where their mouth is and say, gentlemen, what can we do? Call it a silent revolution. It can only come from the people. It's not about guns. It's not about trouble. It's not about endangering the lives of people. It's about strategic engagement and dialogue. And I want to tell you that if we start this motion today, in the next few months, politicians will buy our narratives and will be heading Nigeria on the path where this country will become the pride of the black world.
Okay.